This presentation mirrors that which is being provided at community meetings. It is being provided here to ensure that all OPS community members both have access to this information and an opportunity to provide feedback. Once you have completed this presentation, you can provide feedback using the survey link below. The student assignment plan was first identified as needing improvement in the OPS needs assessment. This identification was then addressed in the OPS strategic plan. The strategic plan dictated that a committee should be formed to make improvements to the student assignment plan, and that this committee should conduct their work collaboratively with the community. This is the purpose for which this presentation is being offered, and your feedback is being requested.
A student assignment plan is the framework that decides how students gain access to schools throughout the district. The OPS student assignment plan is first and foremost home-based. This means students are guaranteed access to their home attendance area school. Within this plan, students are allowed to choose from several other option schools with transportation provided to them. However, it should be noted that in almost every situation, students are allowed to attend all other schools within OPS, but transportation may not always be provided.
This map represents the district's current student assignment plan. The arrows are meant to show that students under the current plan are able to select every school within the district, and, provided that the student lives a specific distance from their option school, they will receive transportation. Placements are made to schools under the current student assignment plan using the following placement structure. First, students within the home attendance area are placed in the school. Second, siblings of current option students are placed in the school. Note, under this sibling exception, the student's sibling must be currently attending the school. Third, the student's reported lunch status on the school selection form is used to place students whose lunch status differs from that of the home attendance area of the school they wish to attend. And fourth, remaining capacity within schools are filled. The map also shows the reality that schools within the district differ in socioeconomic status of their students, as measured by participation in the school lunch program. Specifically, schools in the green area on this map, on average, have greater than 65% of their students receiving free or reduced lunch prices. Conversely, schools in the blue area on this map typically have less than 65% of their students receiving free or reduced price lunches.
As currently defined, the student assignment plan presents some challenges. First, it is complex and difficult for families to understand. Also, the number of school choices available can sometimes be overwhelming, especially at the elementary level. For example, at the elementary level, parents may have over 60 schools available to choose from. With this many options being presented to families, it is quite possible that parents do not even realize they may always choose to attend their home attendance area school. Additionally, busing efficiently in the Omaha Public Schools District has been extremely difficult to ensure. Also, because of unlimited choice options and inefficiency, transportation costs naturally increase, which increases the amount the district has to pay. And since integration under the current plan is defined by socioeconomic characteristics, it has become increasingly difficult to provide integrated school choice options based on free or reduced lunch populations, as at least 75% of OPS students fall into this category.
Currently, nearly one-third of both elementary and middle school students are choosing to attend schools other than their home attendance area school. At high school, this rate increases to 50%. Of the students that choose to attend schools other than their home attendance area school, nearly half of these choices result in socioeconomic integration.
At all levels, the majority of all students reside within the walk zone for their school. Specifically, at elementary, only 12% of students live greater than 1.5 miles away from their home attendance area school. At middle school, 39% of students live greater than 2 miles away from their home attendance area school. and at high school, only 17% of students live greater than 3 miles away from their home attendance area school. This suggests that a strong majority of students are currently not eligible for transportation to their home attendance area schools.
The district uses several sources to provide transportation to OPS students. The district owns and operates 266 buses that are used for special education transportation. This includes 38 wheelchair-accessible buses. The district also contracts 416 buses for transporting non-special education students. These 416 buses primarily run both an elementary and a secondary route, as pairing buses in this way saves the district approximately $35,000 per route. The district also contracts 5 in-cap vans, mostly to transport students opting in from other learning community districts. The district transports approximately 18,500 students annually. Of these students, 16,389 are general education students and 1,940 are special education students. Lastly, the district transports 425 early childhood students due to their special education classification.
Having discussed topics associated with the district's current student assignment plan, we will now discuss how district staff and board members have decided the areas of the student assignment plan that require your feedback. Information has been collected using nearly 6,000 surveys from numerous audiences and from meetings with established groups within the community. This resulted in the OPS Board of Education drafting a guiding mission and vision statement for the student assignment plan. Finally, this information has been presented at 2 board workshops. The result of these efforts was the creation of 7 recommendations for modification to the student assignment plan and the development of 2 different frameworks for how the student assignment plan may look in the future. We will now turn our attention to these recommendations.
As we collected feedback from different community groups, we found that many parents and even district staff do not understand the student assignment plan as it currently exists. Given this knowledge, we understand that regardless of how much the student assignment plan is simplified, we will need to do a better job explaining it to parents and staff moving forward. Clearly, there is nothing simple about determining where 50,000 plus students will go to school and who should be eligible for transportation. Therefore, it may be difficult for parents and staff to understand every small detail regarding the operation of the student assignment plan. However, there is some basic information that should be easily accessible to everyone. Specifically, parents need to clearly understand which schools are available to their children with and without transportation. In addition, they need to have easy access to informative school data that will help them make a decision about which school is best for their child. Understanding that parents need to have access to this information, we are recommending that the district develop a website for managing and organizing school choice. This website would allow parents and students to simply type in their home address, and it would return a list of schools available to the student both with and without transportation. Along with the list of schools, it would provide links to important information about each of the schools listed. This information would include things like NISA performance data, class size data, specialty program information, and other information that might be important to parents as they decide which school their child will attend. Similar websites are already in use in some large urban school districts. If you click on the links below and enter the listed addresses, the Minneapolis and Boston Public Schools websites both provide a list of schools that are available to a student living at a specific address. A similar website would make it much easier for parents and staff to navigate the many complexities of student assignment in the Omaha Public Schools. Our second recommendation is to remove the home attendance area only plan from the list of possible student assignment plan frameworks. A home attendance area only plan simply assigns students to their home attendance area school. This type of plan offers very limited choice to other schools with transportation. There are several reasons for removing this type of plan from the list of possible options for the Omaha Public School District. First, a move to a home attendance area only plan would dramatically alter facility utilization. The number of buildings that are considerably over capacity and the number of buildings that are considerably under capacity would both increase under a home attendance area only plan. Second, within all community groups, there has been a vocal group of individuals that feel a home attendance area only plan is too restrictive. The district currently offers many choices to parents, so a change to a plan that severely limits school choice would be difficult for many families to accept. The third and final reason to exclude a home attendance area only plan from consideration is that this type of plan would not provide access to special services like ESL, special education, and NICE for all students. Thus, access to these services would have to be accommodated outside of the student assignment plan. For example, an ESL student who has a home attendance area school that does not provide ESL services would have to be transported to a school where those services are provided. It is important to remember that even though we are suggesting that the home attendance area only plan be removed from consideration, all of the student assignment plan options we will be discussing today allow students to attend their home attendance area school. The third recommendation is that magnet schools and small class sizes at academy program schools be reviewed by a more inclusive committee. We know that many community members like specialty or magnet programs, but we believe that the type and number of specialty programs offered by the district should be a curriculum-based decision. Thus, magnet and specialty offerings, along with academy program class sizes, will be reviewed by a committee that includes Board of Education members and district staff from a variety of areas. This committee will begin work in the near future. Until that work is completed, we recommend keeping magnets and other educational programs as they currently exist in the district. The fourth recommendation we are making is that we reduce and align the school walk zones at all educational levels. When I talk about aligning the walk zones, I mean that they should be the same for students attending their home attendance area school or a choice school. You'll notice that this is not the case under the current student assignment plan. For instance, at elementary school, a student attending his or her home attendance area school qualifies for transportation only if they live further than 1.5 miles from their school. However, if the student is choosing a school other than his home attendance area school, then he only needs to live further than 1 mile from the school to qualify for transportation. In some ways, the current plan encourages students to make choice simply so they can qualify for transportation. By aligning the walk zones for both home attendance area schools and choice schools, we hope to remove this incentive for making choice and provide a plan that is easier for people to understand. In addition to this alignment of walk zones, we are also recommending that the walk zones be reduced at all educational levels. District survey data, as well as discussions with multiple community groups, indicate that many people believe that the current walk distances are too far because of safety concerns. Based on this input from the community, we are recommending that the current walk zones be reduced from 1.5 miles to 1 mile at elementary schools, from 2.0 miles to 1.5 miles at middle schools, and from 3.0 miles at magnet high schools only to 2.5 miles at all district high schools. District staff understand that reducing the walk zones will result in significantly more students being transported. Therefore, something must be done to offset the increase in transportation associated with reduced walk zones. That brings us to our fifth recommendation, which is to increase the walk to bus stops. This change should increase the efficiency of transportation by allowing the district to put more students on each bus. The current walk to stop distance is 2 blocks at elementary with exceptions up to 4 blocks, 4 blocks at middle school with exceptions up to 6 blocks, and 6 blocks at high school with exceptions up to 8 blocks. Exceptions are made in a number of instances, one of which is when accommodations are being made for a student who was not on a bus when it was originally routed. It is our recommendation that the walk-to-stop distance be increased to the current exception distance at all levels. Thus, the new walk-to-stop distance would be 4 blocks at elementary, 6 blocks at middle school, and 8 blocks at high school. Keep in mind that these are maximum walk-to-stop distances, meaning that the actual walk-to-stop would be shorter in most instances. The sixth recommendation is to remove free and reduced lunch eligibility from the priority structure for placement and eligibility for transportation. This would mean that students would be placed in schools using a random lottery. We believe this change has several important benefits. First, it allows students equal access to all schools. Schools generally have some limited number of seats available to students outside of the home attendance area. At schools where full-pay students are considered integrative, those students are placed in the school first. This means that few, if any, free and reduced lunch students will get into that school when the number of full-pay students applying exceeds the number of available seats in the school. The opposite is true at schools where free and reduced lunch students are considered integrative. This type of situation currently occurs at several schools across the district, thus limiting access to certain schools for students of a particular lunch status. There are many special programs offered across the district, but these programs may only be available at one or a few schools. The change to a random lottery for school placement would give all students an equal chance to enroll in a school of their choosing, regardless of their free and reduced lunch eligibility. The second benefit of this recommendation is that it removes the complication of two neighbors with differential transportation eligibility. What I mean by that is best understood by giving you an example. What I want you to do is imagine two students living in the same apartment complex, attending the same school. Under the current plan, it is possible for one of these students to qualify for district-provided transportation and the other to fail to qualify simply because they checked a different box on their school selection form. It is important to note that it is not the student's true free and reduced lunch status that determines placement priority and transportation eligibility, but rather their lunch eligibility as indicated on the school selection form. That brings us to the third benefit of recommendation number 6, and that is that it removes the connection between participation in the free and reduced lunch program and school placement and transportation eligibility. Under the current system, parents can simply check a different box on their selection form to increase their chances of being placed in a specific school and qualifying for transportation. In addition, there have been instances where parents have tried to change their actual lunch status simply because they believed that it would increase their odds of being placed in a specific school. It is important to note that removal of free and reduced lunch eligibility from the priority structure for placement and eligibility for transportation does not necessarily mean that we cannot integrate schools socioeconomically. The plans we have developed at elementary and middle school continue to promote the integration of schools by providing students with transportation to schools that they would be likely to integrate. The key difference is that the eligibility for that transportation is determined by a student's address and not lunch status as indicated on the school selection form. Recommendation number 7 is to continue to allow students to apply to attend all schools, but limit the number of schools that can be attended with district-provided transportation for efficiency and simplicity. The student assignment plan does not prevent families from choosing any school with available space. Rather, it limits the number of choices that are available to families with district-provided transportation. Under our proposed plans, elementary students would have 8 to 10 school choices with transportation. At middle school, they would have 4 to 5 choices with transportation, and at high school, they would be able to choose any school with transportation. Again, this would allow all students access to specialized programs that are offered at all of our high schools.
Now we will move into the potential framework options for elementary. The first is the Cooperative Zone Framework, and the second is the Partner School Framework. We will start with the Elementary Cooperative Zone Framework. This framework allows students to attend their home attendance area school or choose a school in an area that is likely to be socioeconomically different than the one they are currently living in. The district would be divided into 2 socioeconomically distinct zones, which are further divided into 4 areas to limit school choice and make transportation more efficient. You will see this more clearly on the map on the next slide. The graphic here is showing you where you would get transportation under this framework. Assuming you live outside of the walk distance, you would get transportation to your home attendance area school and other district schools that are in your cooperative zone. You would not receive transportation to any schools in your home zone except for your home attendance area school. In this example, the student lives in the dark green zone. Therefore, the student can get transportation to his home school and schools in the light green cooperative zone. Now we will take a look at the map for the Elementary Cooperative Zone Framework. Here you see the 4 zones, red, green, orange, and blue. From the previous example, the student lived in the dark green zone. In that dark green zone, let's say he lives in the Dodge Elementary home attendance area. Assuming he lives outside of the walk zone, he could receive transportation to his home school, Dodge Elementary, or schools in his cooperative zone in the light green. These include Central Park, Hartman, Mount View, Fontenelle, Druid Hill, King, and Skinner Magnet. Next, we have the Elementary Partner School Framework. This framework allows students to attend their home attendance area school or choose a school in an area that is likely to be socioeconomically different than the one they are currently living in. This gives families choices near their home and choices that would promote diversity with transportation. The graphic here is showing you where you would get transportation under this framework. Assuming you live outside of the walk distance, you would get transportation to your home attendance area school and other district schools that are in your partnership.
You would not receive transportation to any schools outside of your partnership. Now we will take a look at the map for the Elementary Partner School Framework. In this framework, you have options with transportation within the same shade of color. So a student living in the dark red area would receive transportation to her home attendance area school and any other schools in the dark red area. A student living in the pink area would receive transportation to his home school and any other schools in the pink area, assuming the student lived outside of the walk zone. Let's look at an example using school names. If a student lived in the home attendance area of Druid Hill in the dark green area, he would receive transportation to his home school, Druid Hill, and other schools in the partnership: Fontenelle, King, Skinner Magnet, Adams, Sunny Slope, Picot, and Standing Bear. At middle school, we have the same two frameworks as we did for elementary school: the Cooperative Zone Framework and the Partner School Framework. We will start with the Middle School Cooperative Zone Framework. Just like the elementary version, this framework allows students to attend their home attendance area school or choose a school in that area that is likely to be socioeconomically different than the one they are currently living in. The district would be divided into two socioeconomically distinct zones, which are further divided into two areas to limit school choice and make transportation more efficient. You will see this more clearly on the map on the next slide. The graphic here is showing you where you would get transportation under this framework. Assuming you live outside of the walk distance, you would get transportation to your home attendance area school and other district schools that are in your cooperative zone. You would not receive transportation to any schools in your home zone except for your home attendance area school. In this example, the student lives in the dark green zone. Therefore, the student can get transportation to his home school and schools in the light green cooperative zone. Now we will take a look at the map for the Cooperative Zone Framework. Here you see the two zones, green and blue. From the previous example, the student lived in the dark green zone. In that dark green zone, let's say he lives in the Davis home attendance area. Assuming he lives outside of the walk zone, he could receive transportation to his home school, Davis, or schools in his cooperative zone in the light green. These include Hale Magnet, Macmillan Magnet, Monroe, and King Science Magnet. King Science is included because it's a district magnet that everyone can apply to attend with transportation. Let's do another example. Let's say a student lived in the Norris home attendance area in the light blue zone. She could attend her home school, Norris, or schools in the cooperative zone that include Bryan, Beveridge, Alice Buffett Magnet, and King Science Magnet. Alice Buffett is included because it's a shared magnet between the light blue and light green zones, and King Science is included because it's a district magnet. Next, we have the Middle School Partner Framework. Like the elementary version, this framework allows students to attend their home attendance area school or choose a school in an area that is likely to be socioeconomically different than the one they are currently living in. This gives families choices near their home and choices that would promote diversity with transportation. The graphic here is showing you where you would get transportation under this framework. Assuming you live outside of the walk distance, you would get transportation to your home attendance area school and other district schools that are in your partnership. You would not receive transportation to any schools outside of your partnership. Now we will take a look at the map for the Middle School Partner Framework. In this framework, you have the options with transportation within the same shade of color. So a student living in the pink area would receive transportation to her home attendance area school and any other schools in the pink area. A student living in the green area would receive transportation to his home school and any other schools in the green area, assuming the students lived outside of the walk zone. Let's look at an example using school names. If a student lived in the home attendance area of Monroe in the green area, he would receive transportation to his home school, Monroe, and other schools in the partnership: Mordaunt Magnet, Alice Buffett Magnet, and King Science Magnet. One more example. If a student lived in the home attendance area of Norris Middle, she would receive transportation to her home school, Norris, and other schools in the partnership: Lewis and Clark, Beveridge, King Science Magnet. King Science is included because it's a district magnet, and Beveridge is included because it's shared between the blue and orange partnerships. Now that we have finished discussing framework options at the elementary and middle school level, we will move on to high school. The district is recommending that choice with transportation should not be limited at the high school level. Currently, all high schools have a specialty, and the district feels that all students should be able to choose a high school based on their interests. Therefore, there are no frameworks to present. However, the following are recommended changes at high school. The first is decrease walk zones to 2.5 miles for all high schools. This would apply if you are attending your home attendance area school or making choice. The second is remove individual lunch status from selection and transportation, making it a random lottery. These changes would result in equal access to all high schools with transportation to students who live more than 2.5 miles from their school. That concludes our student assignment plan recommendations and frameworks. Following the community meetings, the Board of Education will receive a report and have a full board discussion of the community feedback on April 20th. The board will vote on a final plan and changes to the existing plan on May 18th. The district will be working on the new plan during the 15-16 school year, communicate the plan during the 16-17 school year, and implement the new plan during the 17-18 school year. This concludes our presentation. Please follow the link to complete the survey. We really appreciate your feedback. Thank you.